Living the Normal Christian Life, Reckoning, Part 1. In our preceding video, we briefly mentioned 4 crucial steps for living the normal Christian life: knowing, reckoning, presenting ourselves to God, and walking in the Spirit. Concerning the first step, knowing, we mentioned that this knowledge only comes by divine revelation from the Lord Himself, who enlightens the eyes of our heart to see what we have in Christ. According to Romans 6:6, we've already been crucified, and this is what we need to know. This thing has been done and cannot be undone. When we know this, what follows? Romans 6:11 says, "So also you reckon yourselves to be dead to sin, but living to God in Christ Jesus." Knowing that our old man has been crucified, reckon yourselves to be dead. We first need to know. When we know, then we reckon spontaneously. Usually, we try to reckon before knowing, and this causes us much trouble. In the book, The Normal Christian Life, Brother Watchman Nee mentioned that for years after his conversion, he has been taught to reckon that he was dead to sin. Yet the more he tried, the more alive he clearly was, and this was troubling him for months. He simply could not believe himself dead, and so could not produce the death. But one morning, as he was reading the Word and praying, he asked the Lord to open his eyes, and then he realized his oneness with Christ. He saw that he was in Christ, and that when Christ died, he died also. He saw that the question of his death was a matter of the past, and not of the future, and that he was just as truly dead as Christ was, because he was in Christ when Christ died. What then is the secret of reckoning? The secret is revelation. It is not that I reckon myself to be dead, and therefore I will be dead. It is that because I am dead, because I see now what God has done with me in Christ, therefore I reckon myself to be dead. This is the right kind of reckoning. But what does reckoning mean? Reckoning in Greek means doing accounts, bookkeeping. And why does God say we are to reckon ourselves dead? It is simply because we are dead. God could not ask you to put down in your account book that what is not true. Reckoning is not a form of make-believe. It does not mean that, having found that you have only 12 shillings in your pocket, you hope that by entering 15 shillings incorrectly in your account book, you would be able to remedy the deficiency. It won't work. If you have only 12 shillings, yet try to reckon to yourself, I have 15 shillings, I have 15 shillings, I have 15 shillings. All the mental effort involved will not affect the sum that is in your pocket. Reckoning will not make 12 shillings into 15 shillings, nor will it make what is untrue true. But God tells us to reckon ourselves dead. Not that by the process of reckoning we may become dead, but because we are dead. God asks us to do the account, to put down I have died, and then to abide by it. Paul said, reckon yourselves to be dead to sin by living to God in Christ Jesus. We should never forget that it is always and only true in Christ. If you look at yourself, you will think death is not there. But it is a question of faith, not in yourself, but in Him. In John 15:4 says, abide in me and I in you. This verse not only reminds us that we are already in Christ and need to abide, but also lays down for us the divine principle, which is that God has done the work in Christ, not in us as individuals. Every true spiritual experience means that we have discovered a certain fact in Christ and have entered into that. We need to say that God has put us in Christ, and therefore all that is true of Him is true of us. Now we need to abide in Him. Satan is always trying to get us out, to keep us out, to convince us that we are out, and by temptations, feelings, sufferings, to make us feel acutely that we are outside of Christ. But it is not true. God's injunction is to abide in Christ, and that is the way of deliverance. We should not be moved back onto our old ground, but simply rest in the fact that God has put us in His Son, so that all that is true in Him is also true in us. Today, it is for Him to make good the glorious promise that sin will not lord it over you.